Hello model railroaders, my name's Dave. Welcome to the layout. As you can see by the back of this switch panel for the module in the yard, I've been not procrastinating as I have been. I've actually broke out the soldering iron and the wire strippers and jammed into knocking one panel out so I can get that installed and start actually utilizing the yard properly rather than kneeling down and reaching under and actuating the tortoises by hand. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I'm approaching it, just in case anybody can glean some information and may assist them. Now, in the tortoise manual, they do show the LEDs in line with the power going to the tortoise switch machine. And that's how I wired my old layout. And I did find that I did have some LEDs that did burn out on me because you're passing your current through them to the switch machine. And following Luke Towan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced his last name, I'm not sure how he pronounces it, but he's a gentleman out of Australia. I'm going to put a link to his YouTube channel below. Specifically, he talks about wiring tortoises. And as soon as I saw his video on that, it was kind of a palm to the forehead going, it's so obvious, why didn't I see it? And the way he's done it in wiring up the double pole, double throw switch is the current is not running directly to the tortoise, it is only running to the LEDs only. So you never have to worry about the current burning out your LEDs. So I highly recommend his channel. I look forward every month for when he publishes a video. It's very well done, all his videos, and I can't recommend him enough to anyone. I find his videos are very excellent, and I'm always gleaning a little bit of something off of his work. So please jump over there and check out his channel. Now, for me, I run up a draft of, or an example, so I can follow a physical structure. Now, on mine, the leads that go to the tortoise, I use a spade connector and a female bullet connector, using the male connectors on the tortoise, on the leads that go to the tortoise themselves. So that connects up to the tortoise. I use ring terminals on the power that goes to the switch, and that's pretty much it. I make it so that it's modular and it's very easy to remove. So on the unit here that I've got essentially ready to go, all those ring terminals to the power, I just do a heavier gauge. All my wiring is 22 gauge in the orange and blue, and then I use a 18 gauge for my bus. So I just put a ring terminal on that, and I'll gather up all the blues, thread a bolt through all the ring terminals, and put a nut on, tighten it down, and that is will transfer power to all the switches. Same on the other lead in the orange. Now, my panels are always essentially a foot ID. So with my yard being 13 tracks deep, I've got a lot of switches. I've got a lot of tortoises on the lower level. I think I added it up and it was right around 5 dozen. So I'm using the micro switches on my panels rather than the larger ones, because I know I was going to have an issue when I got into dealing with the ladders, that there was going to be a lot of switches loaded up, and I believe there's 17 in this panel here alone. So though I recommend you go to Luke's to see how everything's wired, I can tell you that for my power wires I'm using a 6-inch length, and that's because I've got a 1 foot is my maximum ID on my panel. I'm using a 10-inch lead that goes to the tortoise. My loops that jump my power to give you that reversing action on the switch are 2 inches. The red or the negative LED going to the red light is 5 inches. The negative lead going to the green LED is 5 inches, and the common positive return is 4 1/4. And for me, that works out well, that I'm able to get the LEDs into the holes and loop everything back around, and it's not too tight and pulling on anything. So those lengths worked for me. Hopefully you can glean some of that information off. The resistor, I'm using a 10 kilo ohm or a 10,000 ohm resistor on the red, and a 1,000 ohm or a 1K resistor on the green. I find the red was very bright, so I increased the order of magnitude by 100 as compared to the green, just to dull it down so that it was comparable intensities. So what else can I say? These are the strippers that I prefer. The front comes down and the back comes down and grabs, and then it snaps, grabs, pulls, opens, and then releases. I have stripped a lot of wires with this pair of wire strippers, and I've had no issues with this style as compared to the other styles. For the crimpers, picked this up at Princess Auto. It's a Power Fist brand. Again, Princess Auto is our Canadian equivalent to Harbor Freight, and I have really good crimps out of this as compared to using just pliers or the other style of crimper that you can get. That's the more heavier one, and locks down until you properly crimp the crimp, and then it'll release off. So it ensures that you get a good crimp every time. So I really have had good luck with that style of crimp. My main work area, yes, it is very cluttered. As I mentioned, I like to buy stuff on sale, so usually these will cycle around the third hands, and I've joined 2 of them, or actually 3 of them together to give me 6 points. And I was finding when doing a lot of wiring, because I tin all my leads that I strip, that I didn't have enough. So I had some a bit of grounding cable, and you can buy just, you know, a foot if you want, or whatever, from one of the big box stores. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. It's a 19 wire lead. The alligator clips, I bought like 100 pack on eBay, I think, for, it was fairly cheap. I know for sure it was under $10 with free shipping from China. It just took forever to get here. So I just solder the base up and to hold everything together. Then I stripped all the jacketing off after that was soldered up, and spread them out into a fan shape, and then soldered on the clips and that's working great for me. The desk being magnetic, again, a Power Fist product. I think I paid less than $10 for it on sale. Is a magnetic base used for indicators for on a lathe machining, and it's got the on-off on the magnetic switch, and that holds steady, and just a clamp to the vertical, and it's a great third hand because I can line up all the wires vertically and solder them one right after another. So that's something that may help if you don't have a magnetic desk. Then just grab a sheet of steel or something like that that has got a good iron content, and the magnet will stick to it, and just make your own little plate and try that out. For the bases, if I can find them, all I've done is take a hard drive magnet, one of the rare earth magnets, from a couple of old hard drives I had, or beg borrow, or from a scrap one out from a friend who's upgrading their computer, and I just super glued that to the bottom, and it is, as you could hear, more than enough to hold everything steady and not slide around. I've done the similar thing to my soldering iron. I've got a magnet underneath, and that's holding it to the slide out tray, so that it's not the base isn't moving around on me. So that's about all I can offer as far as suggestions go. Very quickly, I'll give you the dimensions of the wood. That's 6 inches by 3.5 with a 1 inch flat on the top, and that gives me enough room at the upper for the wiring, as compared to the older where I just angled it right off, where you can see here the old layout. I salvaged them from the old layout, and there just was not enough space at the top to hold the switches, and the bit of beveled wood that I'm using is just an edge of a 2x4 or a 2x2 that I ripped with the table saw, and it's probably between around a 1/4 inch thick, and I just use that to cap it off. So I don't want to run over 15 minutes or I won't be able to upload the video, so I'm going to sign off now, and hopefully you can glean some information off of what I've done. Of course, I'll tape over the bare connections with electrical tape, and just to point out that all my leads, I just use a bit of electrical tape and number them, and I'll do the same for the tortoises. That way, if I ever have to disconnect the panel from the module, that I can connect everything up with the minimal of muss and fuss. So hopefully you will have a great week and get down to your layout and enjoy it, because that's why we're in the hobby, right? Bye for now.